Your vision clears, and you find yourself once again alone in a wagon, the miasma of despair all around. Apparently, victory is not enough to free you from the shackles of denial. Ahead, a familiar lamppost and the sign: guilt, loathing, failure, regret, and disgrace. There's nothing else for it. The only path is forward. It's time to choose your team. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Loki Oren, and we're back again in Darkest Dungeon 2. Having just finished our run of the Laughter is the Best Medicine, we're starting on our second named composition. Today we're doing the Adeptus Sororitas, or, if I don't want to get sued by Games Workshop, the Sisters of Battle. So this is the all-female squad in Darkest Dungeon 2, Sisters of Battle. And let's run through our team real quick. First off, a familiar face, Paracelsus, our Plague Doctor, is back again. And much as before, we're going to ditch Incision and Ounce of Prevention because unupgraded Ounce of Prevention doesn't do enough. And Incision, we just really don't want her to be in the front line, and we'll put on Plague Grenade and Magnesium Rain. Looking at her skills, she's got Hatred of Cadavers. So that's a nice little thing if we fight cadavers. And Needler, Sharp Wit, Sharper Words. So just based on the sound of that we really don't want to get her stress up high because she's going to be kind of nasty to people. Next up is Audrey, the Grave Robber, who holds the distinction right now as being one of the weaker characters. And the reason for that, you can see I don't have all of her skills unlocked, but her final skills I don't believe make much of a difference. The problem the Grave Robber has is her kit is not very strong, and what she's trying to do doesn't really work. So in theory, the Grave Robber's notable abilities are ignoring armor, which both Thrown Dagger and Pick to the Face do, and kind of dancing around a little bit forwards and back and going into and out of stealth. The problem is the stealth mechanics aren't very good, and something like Repartee, where coming out of stealth with 3 dodge tokens and 2 taunts is kind of tough to use, and Shadow Fade to go back to and enter stealth. Basically, the action economy is just not on her side. She's expending actions to do things that don't immediately help. So, with the exception of Dead of Night being a very strong skill baseline and even better when you upgrade it so it heals stress, we're just going to ditch Flashing Daggers, which is not good, pop on Dead of Night, and move on. Her traits, Sluice Scrounger, so if and when we get the Sluice, we'll get a little extra from there. And Germaphobe, so she doesn't like being blighted. Next up is the Runaway Bonnie, who is the other character that holds the distinction right now as being one of the weaker characters in Darkest Dungeon 2 for kind of similar reasons. I think her kit's a little bit more coherent. She wants to put burn on people and burn people, but some of her signature moves like Backdraft, sending damage of her flame onto other people are just very tough to set up relative to the value they bring. And since she's going to be in our second rank, she's going to be dependent on Searing Strike, which is just not a very high damage skill. The burn on it is sort of overvalued. And that limits Dragon or Firefly, which is basically just a worse Plague Grenade. Plague Grenade is baseline 1 to 2 for 3 Blight. Firefly is 2 to 4 for 3 Fire. It's basically the same, but the dot lasts longer. So we're going to ditch Firefly and Run and Hide and Hearthlight and pop in Cauterize, Firestarter. And then the last one, we could use Ransack to help her shift a little bit. Or we could use Controlled Burn, which does put some dots on, or can put continuous dots on a target. But I think in this case, we're actually going to... We'll use Ransack. We'll use Ransack for right now, but I'm not entirely sure what her final skill should be. Run and Hide is tempting, just to kind of help her reposition. But that's kind of the disjointedness of her kit. What position does she want to be in? She has stuff that's 1 to 2. She has stuff that's 3, 4. She has something that moves her forward, something that moves her back. Where does she want to live? Actually, what am I saying? Instead of ransack, we'll just use dragonfly. Never mind. That moves her back. We don't. What position does she want to be in? Ascetic. So I'm not sure what that what that trait does. We'll have to find out. And realist. Realistically speaking, everybody dies. Oh, that's nice. So if everyone gets below 25 HP, she's going to start taking debuffs. Well, we don't want to be below 25 HP, so that's fine with me. And finally, Hellion Boudicca. She is part of the glue that holds this party together. Her and Paracelsus. And the reason is that Howling End has not been nerfed, which means it's just hitting like a freight train. And between that and toe-to-toe for tanking, the Hellion is really well positioned to kind of stand up and keep the rest of the party alive. And we are going to slot in Adrenaline Rush and Raucous Revelry. Raucous Revelry is going to be our stress heal early on, because it baseline is basically an upgraded Ounce of Prevention, but slightly better. And Adrenaline Rush is just a very nice low-level heal. And let's go get into it. Her trait, Slayer of Plague Eaters, so in the Fodder, she's going to be really good, and she doesn't drink, which, okay, fair enough. So zooming out and talking about the party as a whole, this party has a fairly difficult start. We're in the 11.30 patch, the experimental branch. So it will be slightly better than it is on the current release of the game, just because of some of the increased stress healing available, the Oasis and the 50% chance on crit to reduce stress. But we still end up in the same situation of this party doesn't have access to a really good spike stress heal. As we look at what we get 2 sacrificial hosts, which I don't know how good that is. And we got the Leaf Suspension. Reduces chance of negative banter. Now that's nice to have. And we'll keep moving, but yes, this team has a tough start just because of its relatively weak opening moves with the words as we delete the Infernal Flame because we're not going to use it. Because of the relatively weak stress heal. However, that is slightly made up for by the relatively strong healing. Every one of these characters can heal something. Audrey can heal herself with Absinthe. Bonnie can heal bleeds with Cauterize, so that actually means Clotting Powders is useless to us because we want bleeds because we can heal for a bunch with them. Boudicca can heal herself with Raucous Revelry and Adrenaline Rush. And Paracelsus, as we know, can heal everybody with Battlefield Medicine. So all 4 of our characters have some access to healing, which is very nice. And then this party has relatively high damage output. Howling End hits like a freight train. Audrey doesn't do a ton of damage, but she does do some consistent damage and ignores armor. And then both Bonnie and Paracelsus are putting on different dots. So we are potentially going to have quite a large number of dots. Whoa! What was that Death's Door? That was weird. Must be a bug from a previous run that did not go well. Anyway. Looks like we got 2 Lost Souls and the Widow, so let's go ahead and get down, work on getting down the Widow. As previously, as we kind of previously talked about in this, in this fight, the Widow is the highest threat character here just because she does stress damage, and we want to minimize the amount of stress. Now, granted, on this fight, we're not that concerned, but, still, we're going to try to beat her down. And here's where we can show a bit of the power here. Exactly. So Boudicca is just going to obliterate things. Bonnie is going to end up in the front line on occasion with Ransack, but as we'll show here in a second that that Boudicca can fix that. So there is some degree of dancing involved here. And Paracelsus is just going to stick in the back and throw Blight at anything that moves. So, nice and easy, round 2 win. So yeah, so that's kind of the summary of this. Oh, nice. Who do we put that on? We'll put that on Bonnie. Sure. So that's kind of a summary of the Sisters of Battle. Mediocre stress heal makes the early run tough. Good healing keeps the party alive, assuming you can spare the action economy. High damage output lets you just blitz down certain fights. And that kind of, if the party can get through the early stage and get to the point where positive relationships are helping to heal stress, the Sisters of Battle is a strong formation at the end. So let's see, we're at our first inn, which is always the same, and let's check our provisioner. Oh, look, a Pogger's Pig. Well, I mean, we're not going to say no to that. Well, actually, maybe we will. Let's check here. Needler, we'd kind of like to get rid of. Germaphobe, we can live with. Realist, we'd kind of like to get rid of. Resolution, we don't care about. Pipeweed would be... Yeah, okay, I mean, this is going to be almost the same start we had with the best medicine. It's just too good to pass up, because this can potentially mean we get some positive relationships off the cuff here. So let's see how we're doing. Anyone above 4? Nope. Alright, so let's put Bonnie and Boudicca together. Okay, they are now at... Bonnie and Boudicca are now at 4. Damn, went the wrong way there. Was that a big one? Nope. Okay. Well, either way, let's just spam all of our things onto there to get them back up to 4. So, relatively positive relationships. That, I mean, you're not always going to get a pig out of this provisioner. It's not my intent to have every game, every round start with a pig, but I mean, last one we got 2, so that's just the luck of the draw. Now, thinking about mastery here. Some of the early options, we could take Ounce of Prevention. Gives us another source of AoE stress heal, which isn't bad. Bonnie, all of her upgrades, basically, they increase her damage slightly and then let her do things with combo points. And that's kind of a downside of this team, is we don't have a lot of access to combo points. And kind of the same story for Audrey. Lots of ways to do stuff with combo points, but not a lot of ways to get combo points. But we're actually going to upgrade the Hellions toe-to-toe. And the reason we're going to do that is because now we have a way to remove Winded, and we're going to be using toe-to-toe a lot. So this is just a very good skill to have upgraded early on. It does mean that we're going to run the risk of getting dumpstered by stress, but hopefully with the leaf suspension, we might actually be able to survive the negative banter. So we've spent everything, we've equipped everything. This food we're just going to get rid of. And yeah, well, let's see where we go. All right, so we've got a anti-commerce, avoid the hoarder, and get some hope, it looks like. Please go away. Okay, thank you. Some hope, which we're not that interested in. A telescope, 20% scout chance is not bad. Keep the plane above 40, that's tempting. Or we could do the sluice. Now this is this is an early sluice. It's a little scary, but I think we're going to risk it for the biscuit here. And the reason is that we actually have a character who gives us bonuses with the sluice, right? Sluice Scrounger. So we're going to get extra loot out of the sluice early on. And if we can survive this, it could be a potential early start to us. So we're actually going to check out the sluice. So thank you all for watching. This is the Sisters of Battle run. It's one of my formations that I really like to play, even though I think it's a fairly tough early setup just due to the mediocre stress heal. But yeah, tune in next time. We'll be going down the sluice. Yeah, see ya.